All right, guys, we've got our mini preview and season win total predictions here for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is episode 25 as we go through the entire NFL, getting close to the end now. Over under 11.5 for the Eagles, over at plus 108, minus 134 to the under. We're going to go under here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's jump on into it. Head coach Sirianni still, who's excellent at just the regular game management, head coaching stuff. Knows when to slow down, knows when to speed up, knows what he's doing on fourth down, knows all the rules type of guy. They're excellent in that phase of the game. Two new coordinators, Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, come in as Jonathan Gannon gets taken, and so does the Colts head coach, Shane Steichen. He also gets nabbed as well. So two new coordinators. We'll see how that goes. Defense will be up to Desai, so we'll see how that gets going. It's going to be a new defense, it looks like, so we'll see. But, you know, two new big coaching changes are important. But let's jump into the roster. Jalen Hurts, obviously, quarterback. You know, not much to say there. He's excellent currently. We'll see how they are if they have to come back a little bit more. I still would like to get a full sample of them coming from behind in games. Hurts coming from behind in games, but when they're front running, when they're at even game state, they're excellent. Hurts is excellent, and you know, not too much more to say about that. Offensive line that he sits behind remains excellent. 4 of the 5 return from, you know, a top 2 O-line, it feels like. Samulo's the only one who's gone. Jurgens or Steen will step in depending on who, we'll see. Whoever wins that fight, and you know, it should continue to be a 2, 3, 4 top offensive line. Simple as that. Not much to say there as well. Running back room, good if healthy. Swift I like. Penny is also someone who's good when healthy. The problem with those two is the health portion. They're hurt quite often. Kenneth Gainwell is the third option. He's solid. Sermon behind, who had, you know, potential, it felt like when he came out, but hasn't really clicked since being the fourth guy. But, you know, 1, 2, 3 here are really good. It's just about how often they're on the field, I suppose. They all got to stay healthy. Wide receiver room. Obviously, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are both excellent. The 1 and the 2 here. Devontae Smith is probably a low-end 1. A.J. Brown's is high-end 1. Having them at the 1, 2 is excellent. After that, it kind of gets a little iffy for me. Zacchaeus and Watkins, I guess, are the 3, 4. So nothing brilliant there, and the depth behind them is even shallower. So I don't love the depth here. I worry that this is an offense that could lose one of those two, and it kind of falls off a little bit more than expected. So we'll see. But as I said, the 1, 2 is excellent. 3, 4 are okay. It's after that I worry. Tight end room is really good. Goddard is top end tight end. He's really good. He's set high goals for himself this year. And then Dan Arnold is solid in behind him. So just a good overall solid tight end room. Defensive line is solid, deep, everything you want here in a really good defensive line. The Eagles have it. Hargrave is gone, but replaced by Jalen Carter. Jordan Davis in the middle. I mean, incredibly solid. Fletcher Cox is there. Brandon Graham is still there. So it's all very nice in the middle. Edge, Hassan Reddick continues to be one of the best edge rushers in the game right now. Other side, Josh Sweat is also really good. So, I mean, the top 5, 6, 7 are really good. Also drafted Nolan Smith late end first round this year. So, you know, it continues. It's like a never ending cycle of good defensive linemen here right now, and should continue that way into the foreseeable future. Linebacker room is probably the biggest issue to me on the entire roster. They lose Kaiser Wright. They lose TJ Edwards, and I guess Nakobe Dean comes in, hasn't played a ton, needs to come in and solidify that spot. Nicholas Morrow comes in, who's not really had a good season in a really long time, it feels like. So there's potential here if Nakobe Dean doesn't hit the floor and kind of take over that position, that this could be a really bad linebacker room all around. And that would make it the weakest spot on this roster comfortably, because there aren't too many weak points in general, but that would definitely make it one of the weaker positions in the in the roster. So we'll see how that works out. Not a lot of depth behind there either, so potential problems. And the secondary is good. Slay and Bradbury, cornerback 1 and 2, they managed to keep both of them when it looked like one of them had to go. Both of them stay. Very good. Avonte Maddox is solid as corner 3 as well. So the corners are really, really good. Safety, Epps and Gardner Johnson leave. Epps wasn't that brilliant, I didn't think. Gardner Johnson is someone who people like, but keeps getting thrown away by good organizations, so I worry about him in general. But Terrell Edmonds comes in, Blankenship comes in. They just got to come in and be solid and let the corners do their thing. And this should be a really, really good secondary overall. We're kind of just going through and nitpicking portions because the roster as a whole is obviously really, really good. But, you know, this is what happens with good teams. You nitpick and, you know, push around that way. So linebacker is a worry. Running back room with some injuries is a worry. So there are worries here. Depth at wide receiver is kind of a worry for me. So there are worries, but this is a really good team, really good roster, and if everyone stays healthy, it should continue to stay that way. As for the schedule, let's jump into it. It's kind of tricky in some spots. It's definitely much harder than it was last year. At New England's a tough start. Let Bill kind of loom over your offense all off season, could be a worry. Minnesota at home to me is a win. At Tampa Bay, home to Washington to me is a win. So at New England's the toughest game there. The first 4, you can see this team 4-0, no problem. At the Rams, at the Jets, home to Miami is a tough stretch. The Rams, early on in the season, they're going to try and score with you. They can score with plenty of teams. We'll see. At the Jets, they're going to be better. The defense is good there. That should be a grind. And in Miami, similar. Defense is good. Offense can score with you. So that's a really tough one. And then at Washington and home to Dallas to wrap it up before the bye week. Dallas is going to be tough, period. And then at Washington, a road game in division. And then out of the bye is probably the toughest stretch any team has, toughest 4-game stretch any team has, really. At Kansas City, home to Buffalo, home to San Francisco, and at Dallas. I don't think anybody in the league plays something that good in 4 games in a row. It's difficult. It's going to be really difficult. You win 2 of those games and you're probably happy. We'll see what they're really made of once they go through that stretch, though, to be fair. Then you go at Seattle, home to the Giants, home to Arizona, and at the Giants. The Giants, they just match up well with. As a Giants fan, that feels like 2 wins for them if they need to win that last week. Whether they do or not, we'll see. But after those 4 difficult games, to go to Seattle across the country is also really difficult. It's just a really brutal stretch there in the second half of the season. I don't expect this team to really be flirting with missing the playoffs or anything like that. Division, though, I can see the Dallas Cowboys winning this division, definitely. But 11.5 is still a lot of wins, especially with, there are games on here that aren't just slam dunks. At New England, at the Jets, home to Miami, Dallas both times, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, at Seattle. They could be resting on the final day at the Giants. So there are losable games all over the place. And even though this team was really good last year, just regular regression might get some of these players. We may just see issues with the defense. You get an injury here and there. So we're going under 11.5 at -134. And that is where we are with the Philadelphia Eagles. And tomorrow we'll have a new team.